Hello lovely beaders. Welcome back to my channel. The story behind today's video is a request for a pendant. A nice customer saw a pendant made by me in 2018 and she ordered one in her colors. I didn't think to film that initial one, but when I finished it I knew that you would like it. So I made another one in other colors. This white was the costumer's request. I've included both color combinations on the list so that if you'd rather bead the white pendant, you know the colors for that too. Start by stringing 8 pieces of bicones with 8 pieces of delica in color B alternately. Put a double knot to make a circle with the beads. Step out from a delica bead. String 5 pieces of delica in color B and go through the next delica and the bicone and the delica after the bicone. Repeat around. You will have 4 loops with delicas. Step out from the middle bead of the first loop. String 5 pieces of delica in color B and go through the middle delica from the next loop. Don't pull the thread yet. Just let it loose for now. Repeat around. Before you string the last unit, put the rivoli inside the bezel and pull the thread to keep the rivoli inside. And to keep the bezel tight, go through the beads from this row at least once more. When you feel it is tight enough, lead your thread to a middle delica strung in the last row. String 3 pieces of delica in color B and go through the middle delica from the next unit. Repeat around. The bezel is tight enough. Thread the tail, go through some beads and cut it. Remember, never cut a thread right after a knot. Lead your thread to the middle delica from a loop. This bead was used to make the bezel's back. It is on top of a bicone. String this unit. 6 pieces of delica in color A, 1 piece of delica in color B, 1 piece of delica in color C, 1 piece of delica in color B, 6 pieces of delica in color A and go through the middle delica from the next loop. Repeat around. You will have 4 loops around the bezel. We will transform the loops into petals using peyote and herringbone stitches, just like when we make a triangle or a square. Step out from your first delica from your first loop. Start peyoteing the side of the loop by stringing delica in color A. You need to string 3 delicas for this side. You are stepping out from the first delica in color B from the first loop. String 2 pieces of delica in color B and go through the second delica in color B. Skip the delica in color C. Start peyoteing the other side of this loop by stringing delica in color A. You need to string 3 delicas for this side too. For starting the peyoteing on the next loop, just go through the first delica from the second loop. Repeat the steps on all the loops. Make the sides of the loops with peyote and the corners with herringbone stitches. Don't forget to skip the delicas in color C. I sped up parts of this video a little bit, to not bore you with the repeated parts of the beading. Don't forget that you can slow it down by clicking on the cogwheel icon and selecting the speed you want. Like on any other circular peyote beading, you need to step up for the next row. But because I don't like that in every row my stepping up part is shifting with one bead, I am leading my thread to the first corner bead and start the new row there. In this way I will always know that I am at the end of the row if I reach that corner. This will be my new stepping up part of the beading. Start the new row with 2 pieces of delica in color B on the corner. Start peyoteing the side of the petal by stringing delica in color A. You need to string 3 delicas for this side. String 1 piece of delica in color C between the 2 petals. Start peyoteing the second petal by stringing delica in color A. You need to string 3 delicas before you reach the corner beads. Repeat the steps on all the petals. I know I showed you a lot of jewelry made with peyote beading, but the peyote is so versatile you can make a lot of things with this stitch. I really like thinking out of the box with the peyote beading. I will come with other beadings, I promise. But I'll have a peyote surprise for next week, then we'll see if you ask for something or I will have something that I want to bead. Don't forget to step up for the next row. String 2 pieces of delica in color B on the corner. Start peyoteing the side of the petal by stringing delica in color A. In this row, the delica in color C is the only barrier you see between the 2 petals. You need to go with the peyote stitch from one corner to the other. Repeat the steps on all the petals. Now that we have some time, I'll take the opportunity to ask you that if you enjoyed this video and find value in the content I share, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving this video a like. My channel and the knowledge I share are completely free, but to keep it going and continue providing valuable content, I need your support. Your engagement helps the channel grow and reach more people, so thank you for being a part of this journey. You can also help by buying me a coffee, or buying a tutorial or a jewelry from me. You can find the links in the description. Thanks for all the help. Don't forget to step up for the next row. String 2 pieces of delica in color B on the corner. Start peyoteing the side of the petal by stringing delica in color A. You need to string 4 delicas for this side. String 1 piece of delica in color C between the 2 petals. Start peyoteing the second petal by stringing delica in color A. You need to string 4 delicas before you reach the corner beads. Repeat the steps on all the petals. Do you have any questions for me? Are you interested in something you see in my beading and don't know why I do it? There may be things you don't understand because you learn differently and you are curious about why I do it or how I do it. Feel free to ask, I always answer. At least I always try to answer. I welcome all interactions, but please be polite. Don't forget to step up for the next row. From this row will be a little bit difficult, the beading, because we will start the shaping of the petals. String 1 piece of delica in color C on the corner. Skip the first gap, you don't string bead on the first spot, just go through the beads until you reach the second spot. Start peyoteing and string 3 pieces of delica in color A before you need to skip another 2 spots. Skip the spot before and after the delica in color C. Start peyoteing the second petal and string 3 pieces of delica in color A before you need to skip a spot before the corner. Skip the spot before the corner. Repeat the steps on all the petals. Don't forget that you string only 3 pieces of delicas on each side of the petals and skip spots to reach the other petal. You need to skip spots before and after the corners too. I know the skipping spots part is not easy, but with a little bit of patience you will make it. This will be the last row for the petals. But first we need a bead loop for the hanger. Step out from the delica in color C on the corner. String 5 pieces of delica in color B and go through the color C delica again to make the loop with the beads. Go through the bead loop again to reinforce it. Lead your thread to the side of the petal. Step out from the first bead strung in the previous row on the petal side. Start peyoteing the side of the petal by stringing delica in color A. This time you string only 2 delicas. Lead your thread to the side of the next petal. It is not too easy to go through the beads between 2 petals. It is a little bit tight, so make sure you don't break a bead in the process. Start peyoteing with delica in color A, string only 2 delicas. Lead your thread to the other side of the petal. Repeat peyoteing the sides. The petals are finished. Now we need to pull them to the middle of the pendant. Lead your thread to the delica in color C strung in the first row of the petal. String 1 piece of bicone and go through the delica bicone delica unit from the bezel. Try to pull the thread, but be aware that the bicone can cut your thread. If you not pull the thread, the bicone will be loose and the petal will not bend over like it should. String 1 piece of bicone and go through the delica in color C from the next petal. Try to shape the petals while you pull the thread to help the petal in the position that it needs to stay. Repeat this step around. The pendant is finished. I like to reinforce this part. I don't want to leave loose bicones and I don't want the bicones to cut my thread. So I go through some bicones, I put some double knots to reinforce them. I got some questions about how I make my double knots in these situations. I try to explain it now. I go under my thread between the beads and I go through 2 times in the loop obtained this way. Then I try to pull my thread to have a knot on it and pull that knot into a bigger bead. It is just a loop with 2 knots on it, but if you make 2 or 3 of them it will be safe to cut your thread. I don't cut my thread just yet because my mission here is to reinforce the bicones by putting the knots when I feel that it helps to not loosen up. Now that I reinforced the bicones, for extra safety I can weave in my thread in the petals. Then I can cut it. I use a snap-on bail. I just put it in the loop and use my plier to close it. I thread a necklace chain through the bail and my pendant is ready to use. I really like the sparkle of this pendant. And that's the end of today's video. If you watched it and liked it, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for spending time with me. See you next week.